Hello, my name is Anton and I'm founder of the Raw Wool Company. Welcome to my cottage here in Cornwall. This is my dog Moose. Today we're going to be talking about what I've been working on, what I finished, and what whips I've got going on. So grab a cup of tea, grab your knitting, get comfortable however you like to watch your vlogs, and we'll get started. So welcome to my cottage. This is the first video that I have done from my living room. It feels very odd to be sat here with my with my camera going and a light and being surrounded by some of my projects, which I'm excited to show you. Seeing this as a new channel, I thought I'd spend a little bit of time talking about who I am. So I'm Anton and I grew up on a sheep farm of rare breeds. Not just a sheep farm, we also kept pigs and chickens, but we very much started specializing in the sheep just because we had so much more passion for them. And so over the years we sold off the pigs and sold off the chickens and ducks and all the menagerie of animals that we had, and just focus on the long wool Wensleydales, which I've obviously now made up into yarn, and we call it Yarn in the Colour the Sheep Intended, which is under the Raw Wool Company. But this podcast, this YouTube, is not just talking about raw wool. It's not just talking about my yarn or my patterns. I'm also going to be talking about other people's yarns, other people's patterns. I meet a lot of amazing vendors at the yarn shows, and I want to talk about everything that I feel passionate about. So what I'm knitting in their yarns, and other people's patterns, other designers that I'm inspired by. So this isn't just going to be about raw wool. I will obviously talk about some of my yarns and some of my patterns as well, but this is going to be very much talking about everything I'm working on and everything that I get inspired by. But also I'm going to do some longer form videos which are going to be educating about behind the scenes, about practices of taking from farm to fibre, and also talking about British heritage within knitting, and all things woolly, all things fibre, all things knitting, some technique videos as well along the way, hopefully. But occasionally we'll be sat in the cottage and we'll have a cup of tea and we'll talk about what I'm working on. So first of all, in my last video, you might have seen that I was working on the FORESHORE sweater. That is now done, and the pattern is now available on the website and on Ravelry. So here it is. It's all finished. It's, oh my gosh, it's so warm. It's so brilliant. This is done in the Softer Sea Mist double knit, and then I have held it together with some telling yarns. If you want some more details about this, maybe watch my other video if you haven't already. And it is, as I said, it's available online and on Ravelry, and you can find all the information of the yarn on there. So being based in Cornwall, one of my hobbies is I love surfing, and knitwear and surfing go brilliantly hand in hand. Going into cold water and coming out again, the best thing to do is to be putting on some knitwear. And so this is very much a go-to hat for me. This is the BAA-BLE pattern, which you may have seen this. It's all over Instagram and all over the internet, and it's just a motif that you can actually, the pattern is a singular pattern, but there's the motif that you can put into jumpers and things. This was just made of lots of scraps that I had going around. There's a bit of unspun held with a bit of lace, a little bit of my wool, so the Softer Sea Mist is in there, and On a Dark and Stormy Night. But the other ones, I actually can't remember what wool they were. I was just trying to use up loose ends. But I got so excited when I cast on this pattern that I actually ended up knitting this pattern all in one day. I sat there on a Sunday and I started after I'd had my coffee in the morning, and I just got addicted. And so it just kept going and going until I finished with this lovely hat that I wear to death. I absolutely love it, and it's the perfect thing to throw on after you've been surfing. Another one that I love to chuck on, and I wear a lot, is so the yarn that I've used is ZAKAMI. So ZAKAMI are a lovely husband and wife couple who are hand dyers based up in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And I met ZAKAMI for the first time, I think it was at Unravel, or maybe it was Yarn Fest. No, not Yarn Fest. It was one of the yarn shows, and we decided to, on the next show that we met up, we decided to exchange some wool. So she loved some of mine, and I think she had some of the Darker Stormy Night actually, and I just loved this colourway. I'd seen it on Instagram beforehand, and just fallen in love with this colourway. So this colourway is Harvest Moon, and this is based on a organic merino. It's Aran weight, so it knitted up super quickly, and this has formed part of this jumper, which again I just chuck on after surfing, because it's just nice and big and loose, and being a merino, it's got super amount of drape to it. I was a bit hesitant about doing this pattern, and this pattern is my favourite things, or my favourite things knitwear. Pattern jumper number 18. I'll put the details here on the side. I was a bit wary about doing this pattern in a variegated colour, but I absolutely love it, and I think it came out fantastically. I couldn't see any other people that had done it in a variegated, and so I was a bit sceptical that the pattern work would still come through. I mean, it's quite simple. It's just knits and purls along to create this lovely sort of variegated rib pattern. But I think it works really well in the variegated, especially in this dark colour. As I say, I just chuck this on after surfing all the time, and I love it. So that was a couple of my finished projects so far. So my hats, I did knit this one a little while ago, but it's seeing new to the channel. I've got a backlog of knits that I can show you and talk about the yarn. So this is one of them. So I'm going to have a look at a couple of whips that I've got going on. So this is my current one, which my partner does know about it. It's going to be for a Christmas present for him. And this is by one of my lovely friends. The pattern is by one of my lovely friends called Jonathan Day. He has a very successful YouTube. I love watching his YouTube. He's at Jonathan Day's. And this is his BOSCA hat. I actually tested this pattern for Jonathan just before he released it, but it's now released. It's available on Ravelry. It's the BOSCA hat. I will put the details to the side again. And this is the second or third. So for the first hat I did of Jonathan's for the test knit, I actually used some of the ZAKAMI yarn. It calls for a double knit weight, but this was an Aran. I just did it on a slightly tighter gauge because I quite like the condensed fabric for a hat. It stops the wind down here in Cornwall going through your hat and keeps your head a bit warmer. And I held it together with some double knit wool which I got in Camel's Yarn Advent box last year. So I was trying to use up the end of this the skein that I had left over from this jumper, as well as then some of my mini skeins from Camel's Yarn. So this is a new one which I'm doing, which is in ARBON. I can't remember the colour, but I will pop it up on the screen. And then I'm holding it, and then the colour contrast is from Telling Yarns, Beth from Telling Yarns. I spoke about Beth's wool last time. I love her settle dyeing and her artistry of her dyeing, which is the contrast colour in the FORESHORE sweater. This pattern is brilliant for cold and windy places because the way that you do the doubled over brim with the colour work, you end up getting essentially 4 layers of fabric in the brim, which just gives you a really squishy brim. And it's perfect for protecting your ears against the wind and the rain. And then it's just got this broken rib at the top. It's like a 3 by 1. Yeah, 3 by 1 ribbing, which I'm just about to finish the decreases. And I think my partner's going to be very happy to have this. He works outside, so hopefully it will keep his ears nice and warm in the cold weather that we've yet to come. So yeah, so that's a whip that I've got going on at the moment. A couple of years ago, I used to be obsessed with knitting socks. I would knit socks all the time, but I am very much one of those people who suffer from the second sock syndrome. I knit the first one, and then it may take me another year to knit its matching pair. I'm not one of those people that finish one and then just crack on with the other. And so I was told and challenged actually by a friend of mine to try knitting 2 at a time socks. I'm a friend of Magic Loop, so I wasn't too scared of starting it off. I liked the idea that I would get to the end of the project and have 2 socks and I wouldn't have to knit that second pair. And so with that, I went and got some of my favourite sock yarn, which is from ARBON, which they are based down in the southwest as well. The girls that run it are just fantastic. They took over from John himself, and the EXMOOR sock is a perfect woolly sock yarn. This is the EXMOOR sock in the colour I can't remember, but it will be on the screen. And as you can see, this is my 2 at a time socks. So essentially, you are working constantly on a magic loop, and you work across the front of sock 1, across the front of sock 2, and then across the back of sock 2, and then across the back of sock 1 again. So you get them done at the same time. If you make any adjustments and row adjustments or anything like that, it all happens at the same time, which I really like. The pattern here that I'm using is from the first edition of 52 Weeks of Socks, and this is the intersections pattern. So a really nice, just simple 2-stitch cable going up and going up the front and then continuing up the front of the sock once you go past the heel as well. It's just plain on the back. I'm not too far off the heel now. It's toe up. I don't mind doing toe up or cuff down. Either one of them I'm fine with, and I enjoy both as a different bit of variation between techniques. But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying this. So actually very apt of me. When I was on holiday earlier in the year, I went to Dorset, and then I carried across to Devon afterwards with my partner, and we actually went to Exmoor and we saw some Exmoor sheep, which is the wool that this sock yarn is made from. I also went across the moor and found some nice streams and sat and had a little knit of these socks. So it was quite nice to bring this yarn home. I mean, it's not too far from here. It's only in Devon, which we're in Cornwall. They border 2 counties that border onto each other, and so I was very sort of happy to take this yarn back to its original spot and do some knitting in that spot. I quite like that circular kind of feeling of things. And it definitely inspired me to crack on with these. They've taken a little step back for a minute because I actually just did one of the cables in the wrong direction when I wasn't concentrating, and I need to decide whether I'm going to live with that mistake or pull it back. But I'm quite fearful of pulling back at 2 at a time socks. It's just fiddly. That's the only thing. It definitely is a commitment when you go to do a round, because you don't want to stop halfway, well, quarter way, halfway, 3/4 of the way. You need to do the whole set round, and making sure that you are bringing the attention correct every time that you turn a corner between all the socks, which obviously then there's 4 corners to keep concentrating on. And picking back the cable on 2.25mm needles. I'm just putting it to the side for a day that I feel I've got a bit of concentration and some good light to either rectify it or just crack on and live with it. So they are the 2 projects I've got going on at the moment, which is not in Royal Wool Company yarn, so not in my yarn. But I'm going to show you a whip that I'm working on now, which is also a pattern design, which I'll tell you a little bit about it, but I won't give too much away, as it's going to take me a little bit of time to finish it. But yeah, I'll grab it now. This new project, this new pattern, is knitted in my new yarn, which is called Storm on the Horizon. This is the best of my best lamb's wool. We call it Shepherd's Pick. I'm a shepherd, I picked it. I've been saving up my best of my best lamb's wool, which is in this beautiful natural black colour. It's so lovely and soft. We've actually done this as a sport weight yarn. It's not something that a weight that you find that much here in the UK. It tends to be sort of more in America and Canada and places like that, that you get this sports weight yarn. So sports weight is, if you don't know, is between a 4-ply and a double knit. I really like it as a weight because it knits up quickly, but I love a 4-ply fabric and texture. I run quite warm and here in the UK and especially in Cornwall, it's not as cold as you think. It's actually quite mild, and so a 4-ply weight jumper really suits well. Sometimes it can be a bit of a commitment to do a 4-ply jumper, and especially doing a 4-ply jumper every time for me. So sports weight is perfect because it's that in-between weight for me. This has a nice high twist on it, and being in the Wensleydale, it's super strong. This would make an amazing natural alternative for a sock yarn, and I will be working on a sock pattern at some point in this. I just want to get this whip finished first. And so it's, Storm on the Horizon, which is in sports weight. They come in 50-gram skeins, and I will put a link to this in the notes. This is available on the website. So this is the jumper that I've been working on. This is a sandal shoulder, and it's going to be based off a fishing smock. So a fishing smock is normally made out of old sails or a canvas material or a wax cotton. It has this very sort of high collar around the top, and then have these 2 massive pockets on the front. And it's very traditional to Newlyn, which is near Penzance, which people know it of the Newlyn Art School. And this fashion of a smock was actually used for artists as well as then for fishermen that were on, fishing folk that were on the coast. And so this is kind of based off that sort of silhouette, with a little bit modern shaping to it as well. I've done a dimple stitch on the shoulder, which will travel down the arm, and then I will put some pockets which will be integrated in at the front. I'll come back and pick up the neck, and it will have a couple of different neck options as well. This high contrast edge here will block out amazingly. This is the great thing about Wensleydale, is it changes so much from knitting it to then blocking it. That long fibre gives it oodles of drape. And so this will really block out really nicely and smoothen off that section at the top. Once I've tested this myself and finished designing it, this will be available for test knitting. So if you are interested in test knitting, jump onto the Royal Wool Company website and drop me a message. Let me know that you're interested in test knitting this. I'm hoping this will be done and designed on the other side of Christmas. And then test knitting will go live in the spring. So do get in contact if you fancy having a go at a test knit. So that's everything that I'm working on at the moment. I do have a few other whips. I'm the sort of person that has a lot of whips going on at once. I give things attention and then leave things for a little while and then go back to them. I've got a Christmas Day cast on planned, even though I've got multiple things going on at the moment. But yeah, hat will be done for my partner, and socks hopefully will be done for Christmas as well. And then this jumper, which I haven't got a name for yet, but the fishing smock style jumper will be done over Christmas as well. I say over Christmas. I think a lot of people say that they've got gift knits to do before Christmas, and then they'll finish off all those whips before the new year and start the new year with fresh needles and fresh whips. But yeah, I'm sure some of them will carry over. We'll see. So thank you very much for sitting with me today and having a look at what I've been up to, what I've been working on, and what future plans I have. Hopefully you enjoyed this, so please do like and subscribe and comment if you've got any questions or anything you want to say. Just comment below. Obviously I'm new to YouTube, so let me know if you enjoyed it, if you want to hear about specific things, if there's anything I didn't mention that you want to know about. Let me know in the comments below. Do tell your friends if you really enjoyed it, and thank you again for watching. So until next time, take care and happy knitting.